Test, test. Welcome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome everyone here and everyone who's watching online. We apologize for the slight delay. We had some technical challenges, but now everything is fixed and ready for you. My name is Nadine Ridder. I'm honored to be hosting this event tonight. And I will start with a few announcements. We are very happy that all COVID measurements are as good as gone, but please consider each other's wishes and space in this. Also, if you would like to share something on social media, please use these hashtags. And I hope, yeah, they're there. And also, please be so kind to switch off your mobile phone, or at least to put it on silence. I have to say that we have an amazing program for you tonight. We will start with an interactive consent workshop, and we'll then go into conversation with the artists and curators. And a lot of people from the group are with us tonight. But first, before we start all of this, I would like to welcome Ido Abram from Eye Museum and director Ilko van der Lingen from the Mondriaan Fund to the stage for a few personal words to welcome you.
Good evening. This is going to be a duo presentation. My name is Ido Abram. I'm the Deputy Director of Eye Filmmuseum. And also on behalf of my colleagues Sandra den Hamer and Marente Bloemheuvel, I welcome you to Warming Up for Venice to celebrate Melody Bonajo's participation at the Venice Biennale, organized by the Mondriaan Fund. Yes. And we are extremely proud to be able to co-host this event in our museum, where we celebrate film as the seventh art in our cinemas and exhibitions. In 2016, we showed some of Melanie's work in Close-Up, a group exhibition of younger generation film and video artists. And we have followed Melody's steps ever since. And now a little promotion for something different. After this presentation, we keep our exhibition Guido van der Werve, Palpable Fertility, open to 11:15. So if you feel like watching the exhibition, you're more than welcome. If you cannot do it tonight, please be welcome for our belated opening on March the 12th. And now I give the word to Ilko van der Lingen.
Thank you, thank you. Wonderful to be here, and I'm not sure how it is for you, but this is the first time I've seen so many people in a room together for a very, very long time. So that feels very old-fashioned, and it feels very warm. It's very nice that we can do this again. Warm welcome on behalf of the Mondriaan Fund for the warming up event of Melody Bonajo Goes to Venice When the Body Says Yes. We're going to have a wonderful evening, I'm sure. You know that the presentation in Venice will not be at the Rietveld Pavilion, but will be in the Misericordia in the area of Canareccio, because the Rietveld Pavilion will be this year taken by Estonia. And because of that exchange, we have recently been to Estonia, and art professionals from Estonia have come to the Netherlands as well. And I thought it was a very valuable exchange in which we learned a lot of the backgrounds of the art world of Estonia, including the influence of the Russian occupation in Estonia. Not only in the art world, the cultural world, but in society at large. And while we were there, we realized the impact that it has had. But we thought we looked at something from the past, something that we have dealt with in the past that's not going to happen again. And we are afraid that, alas, this is happening at this moment in the Ukraine. And we feel very much for the people in the Ukraine and what has come over them. I've been in touch with my colleague from Estonia to hear how they are dealing with it. For them, it's really heavy as well, because they fear a future that they thought they had left behind as well. They also agreed that our mutual exchange is a positive signal in very negative times. And in a way, we cherish the idea that we go to Venice together next month. It's strange to talk about going to Venice happily in times of war. At the same time, war is a lot that art is not, and vice versa. And I think it's very good that we really keep an essential value of the arts, and we celebrate it, even in these very difficult times. But they are very difficult, and we understand that. Back to tonight, we are not only celebrating the presentation of Melanie, but we're also doing it after a very long time of COVID. And when we started with this entire process 2.5 years ago, we couldn't comprehend what we would have to go through the last 2 years. How we haven't been able to be close to each other, how we haven't been able to touch each other, how we haven't been able to do this, what we are doing now. And as a result, Melanie's presentation has gained a lot of urgency as well, as I think we're going to discover tonight when she shows her perspective on intimacy and the value of touch. I wish you a very pleasant evening and a very valuable evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ilko. Now, let's go to the exciting part. Let's go to the certified in sexological bodywork and mind-body therapy therapist Ajo Gru and their assistants Safira and Shimaya for a special consent workshop. This workshop lies in the basis of Melanie Bonjana's work and is part of the exhibition experience in Venice. So please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our workshop and to this amazing space. I also want to say welcome to the online audience. I know that someone is watching us online, and that's great. So what we want to do is to introduce a somatic practice about consent, which has been really central to our work doing the film. Just the image behind me, I think, shows everything. How so many people can lie there is not. It's not just to do it. There's a lot of work behind that. And tonight we thought we would show you and introduce you to some of that work. So what is consent? Consent is something, it's a place that two or more people arrive to together. So it's not something we give each other, it's somewhere we arrive together. That's one thing to say. And yeah, I think it's also worth to mention that in these days where we're experiencing Me Too and are more and more able to verbalize rape culture that we have been brought up with, I think it's important to also focus how can we change that culture in a pleasure positive and sex positive practice. So that's also what we wanna center pleasure, we wanna center desire and bodies in the space. Yeah, are you up for it? Awesome. And these two beautiful beings will, if you're in doubt what to do, you can take a look at them. So I will put you together next to each other. So the first thing that consent is about is to connect to our bodies, our own individual space. We have to be in contact with our own bodies, with our own desires, to be able to know what we want and what we don't want. So I will invite you to find somewhere in front of you to look, like resting your eyes down in front of you, or even closing your eyes, if that feels comfortable. And from here, we take 3 breaths. Doesn't have to be synchronized, just a bit deeper. And And while you're here, you can notice what is alive in your body, what is present, just by slowing down and noticing without changing. And from here comes the very exciting part of your night, is to turn either left or right and connect with a person next to you. So you're gonna turn left or right and connect with a person next to you. If there is no person, you might turn around, see if there is someone behind you or in front of you. If you might end up in a trio, that can be very fun. And for the people online, you can follow until I give you a different instruction. So we're going to practice for the first round how to give and receive a no. This is something that for most of us is really difficult. It's like, oh my God, rejection, abandonment, everything is coming up. So practice verbally to voice a no, and how does it feel to receive it? So you're gonna ask the person next to you. You can decide in a minute who starts. May I touch you? XXX. And you don't do anything, and the other person say no, even though you want to have the touch. And you notice how that feels. No matter what it is, you notice how that feels. So you decide who starts, and yeah, go for it.
Checking mic. Can I touch your cheek?
No.
Can I touch your boobs?
No.
Can I take you by your hand?
No. Okay. Can I touch your hair?
No.
Can I touch your necklace?
No.
Can I touch your feet?
No.
And when you feel you asked enough questions, you can swap around if you haven't done that yet. All right. I hear a lot of giggly. I can't see you, so you look great. But find a way to come to an end. And we're going to move on to yes. And I just remembered that I forgot to introduce the online audience to the exercise. So for the online, if you feel like it, you can stand up. And instead of asking someone, you can connect with your own body and simply lean into a yes position, which might look like open chest and open hands and a bit forward. And just feel how that is in the body to have a yes position in your body. This is an exercise I do with my clients, with my own body when I want to make a decision. It's a really strong exercise just to make the position of a yes or a no with the body. Can recommend that. And for you guys here, you can change to the yes, and you still don't do anything. So the person asking, may I touch your hand, may I stroke you, may I look at your hair? It might even not be touch, but I encourage touch. Even if you feel no, you say yes for this exercise. Consent, we are at a stage in our society where we have to practice consent. Yeah, So, and that means like doing things that we wouldn't do in real life. Yeah.
We don't actually do it here.
No, for this one you don't do it. Okay. So go for it. You only give yes and you don't act on it.
May I stroke your hair?
Yes.
May I hit your face?
Yes.
May I scream at you and then look at you and then say you're beautiful?
Yes. Okay, let's see. May I pull your hair?
Yes.
Okay. May I wax your entire face?
Yes.
May I take off all your jewelry?
Yes. Can I scream at you and then tell you you're beautiful?
Okay.
Some people like that.
Find a way to come to an end. And notice how that was different in the body. Take a moment to connect with your own space again. Take a breath. And notice the difference between the no and the yes and how that felt. So there's a lot of things going on, of course. A lot of contextual elements that is influencing how you feel, and that's part of it. Yeah, for the last and third round, you're going to ask an honest question, something you can imagine to do to the other person, with the other person, and the other person answers honestly. And if there is a yes, you do it for 2 minutes. And 2 minutes can be a very long time. It can also be very short. But yeah, if there's a yes, you do it. And if there's a no, or even if there's a maybe, you negotiate. So the person who gives a no or a maybe can say, I don't really want you to feel like touch on my shoulder, but it might be that my upper hand feels okay to be touched. Or I don't feel like being touched, but can we put our hands next to each other? So go for something you can imagine to do. Go for the yes, go for the desire, go for the possible. That with this person that you might not know, like what is possible between you, until you reach a common yes. Don't compromise yourself. Okay?
And be creative. You don't have to touch each other with your hands. You can also bump heads or touch each other's knees. Be very creative.
Yeah, okay. So, enjoy finding your yes.
Can I put my cheek on your cheek?
Yes. Can I stand back to back with you? Okay. This was nice, actually. Yeah. Want to stay like this? Yeah.
2 minutes? Okay. Okay. So this was that was the 2 minutes. Find a way to thank your partner.
Let's do the thank you exercise. Remember what we did? What is it? Yeah, it was like this, okay? Thank you.
So I just got a note that we have 2 minutes left of this. I think it's been shortened a bit because we were late. So we had a bit more planned, to be honest. I think I want to thank you very much for being open to try this and to learn. And I'm just thinking about how to spend the last 2 minutes.
Is there someone who wants to share their experience with this exercise? Someone in the audience? You need to raise your hand very high because I can't see anything.
It can be 3 words. What stands out to you?
Yeah.
What was?
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
What do I need to press? Like this. Ah, perfect. I just got really excited and wanted to say yes to everything, but then I did get really sweaty hands. So now I'm doubting, like, am I listening to my body or not? I'm a bit confused, but I did like it a lot.
Thank you so much.
I just want to share something. For me, I think like personally, coming in a space with like people you don't know can be scary sometimes, and you feel like because of your past experience, some people can like feel shy or like scared even, or maybe like intimidated or whatever. But like when there is consent, there is like so much clarity, and like the borders are very clear. So when you know that a person will not cross them, and you had like many exercises together, or even this little exercise can be already a lot. So it just makes it so much easier to not see a stranger, but like a possible friend. And then with friends, you feel safe, so they will never cross your boundaries if you're clear with them. So.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you online. I hope you find a way to move out of the yes position. And yeah, thank you for letting us be here tonight. That was amazing.
Ayo, for
Thank
this
you for the demo.
workshop.
Thank you so
yourself.
much. You can actually stay. You can have a seat. Thank you so much for this very special exercise. I have to say, I feel very close to someone I just met like 5 minutes ago. So thank you for this experience. I hope you in the audience felt the same. It's time for the conversation. So I would like to welcome to the stage the artist of the night, Melanie Bonajo. Sorry, Bonajo. Also curators Orlando Maaike Gouwenberg and Soraya Pol, and also the rest of the group, Suwanne, Nika, Mini and Theo. Okay, guys, I'm going to sit here because of the cameras. I prefer to be in the middle of you guys, but they told me this is going to be working better. Melanie, where are you? Oh, there. Hi. Short introduction. You're an artist. You're a filmmaker. You're a sexological body worker, a somatic sex coach and educator, cuddle workshop facilitator and activist. And of course, it's your work when the body says yes that we're discussing tonight, which is part of your long-term investigation of how we deal with the current state of intimacy in this commercialized world, I read here. So before we dive into all of this, we're going to watch a beautiful clip of the film. Would you like to introduce it yourself, or do you want the audience to just watch it?
I think it's good to just start.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's have a look.
Explore your new physicality and movement possibilities. If you find yourself with limited physical possibilities, what else could become a tool to express yourself? What are the possibilities of this new body that you have? We invite you to follow your curiosity. What are you noticing in your body right now? Are there any sensations or emotions arising within you? In your exploration, give yourself time to observe what's moving within you and for you. Together, we explore the universe of micro-movement through touch. The emphasis lies on the intensity of movement and encounter, not its size. We discover our body beyond the norm. Connect to your sensual and erotic self. Raise the temperature in the room. Use your body to express your desires within the range of your possibilities. Playful, open, humorous, symbiotic, sensual.
It deserves a warm applause. Amazing. Melanie, can you share something about the project, the idea behind the project?
The project is based on centralizing the body as a vehicle for knowledge and a space through which we can find resources and closeness to others. Somatics, that's a practice that we practice with Ayo and some other people, that is really based on a long lineage of people who are investigating the relationship between brain and body and our social conditions without putting it in a hierarchy. So everything is equally important. And you know, it's like my research, but my research is just a grain of sand on a lineage of people who contributed to this field.
Yeah.
And
so how is this different than what we're used to?
In a way, we are used to like live life from a very mental point of view, and what we're doing here is looking at like how we hold the narratives that we have generalized and internalized in our body and where they are obstructing us to things that we really stand for or really want. And often those things are really based on our social location and are very much about the systems that we live in, and our shapes come really from not only just our personal experience, but our personal experience that is shaped by the person who's close to us, our family, our schools, our institutions.
Is that what you mean by social location?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then in the intersection of that shows really how generalized some problems are, and that it's really also a issue of the system, and that also through trust building and creating safety and restoring dignity in oneself and feeling our body, like knowing how a real embodied consent feels like, how a consentful maybe feels like as a legit space, or how an embodied no feels like, is something that we practice. And that's why we practice to feel when the body says yes.
Yes, so you practice it and now you're also going to bring it to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I forgot to mention in the beginning, we will have some space for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, don't forget them. I'll get to you. There's a lot to do about boundaries as well. What's so important about boundaries? Can you explain this?
A lot of people have learned to just have automatic responses in social relationships, because we maybe feel like excited and we're not in a relaxed space, and we're like aroused, and we can only give a consensual yes when our nervous system is in a space of safety. And that's why there's so many Me Too's, because there is like not a practice to really go into what is an embodied yes, what is an embodied no, how does my body feel like in this particular circumstances, and what is not addressed is the social hierarchy that is present in those interactions. So if you are in a position where you are, for example, a cis female, you will always be on the downside of a power hierarchy with a cisgendered man, because that's the consequences of the patriarchy, and this is how we are socialized. So in order to like deconstruct that, we all need to be increased sensitivity to understand how to express our boundaries and how to like receive a boundary, and that is like the journey that we're on.
So that's what we just practiced, right? Can you maybe explain I think probably most people know, but for people who are not familiar, can you explain what cis means?
Cis means that you are the gender that you feel like assigned at birth. So if you're not cisgendered, you're trans. On the other side. Cis means on this side, so the doctor says, oh, it looks at your genitals, and it's like, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl. And then a lot of people don't feel home within that binary spectrum, and they go on a journey beyond that, and that you're on the trans side. And then you have a whole scale of gender varieties that you can identify with.
How important do you think it is that we learn these things?
I think it's really important that people have the freedom to express themselves exactly how they feel from the inside.
Also,
and that they feel safe to do that.
Yeah,
and seen.
So safe is something that's very central, right, in your work. So you just talked about physical boundaries. Also, I'm really curious about mental boundaries. How does that work? Like, how do you develop your mental boundaries? And
your mental boundaries is also part of your embodiment. You know, you need to feel when you feel that you are like maybe overstimulated, or maybe somebody is talking to you, but the way that person is talking to you is not because they actually want to be heard, but they want to express their feelings, and they just maybe dump that information on you. And then you can give your personal mental boundary, like, right, this is not the space, this is not the time, I don't want to be here right now, thank you very much, I call you later.
Or not. Then I would like to hear some more about the loneliness epidemic. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, there's a power of people not being united, you know, like and there's a power of people being united.
Like you guys are like right now.
Yeah. And loneliness is a pain that is physically experienced. You know, we feel it in our body, and often we don't have the tools anymore to find connection, because like expressing feelings, expressing desires, or in a way that there is no consent can be like very unsafe. So relearning these basics of communication can add to people finding more closeness, also in a physical way, like being held and also learning how to be held. And that's just really healthy for people, you know, on a level of the nervous system. We're basically like one being, like we respond to each other's neurological conditions. We're sensing that, you know. If you feel nervous and I feel nervous, we sense that and we adapt our nervous system to each other. So when I'm relaxed and you're relaxed and we both feel in a consensual space, there's so much more possibilities of us coming closer together in a safe space.
Beautiful. Also, I love the title, When the Body Says Yes. Can you share a little bit about how you came to the title? Or?
Yeah, just exactly also what Ayo and Safira and Shemaya just expressed in the workshop. It's like to learn how to feel a yes in the body and to learn how to feel a no in the body, and a maybe is one of the basics of somatics. So that's what we practice. Right. And that's like a practice that a lot of people just practice first on their own before you can practice it with each other, because a lot of people just have an automatic yes or an automatic no, and there's not really any agency in certain situations. So just a very simple exercise is like the base of something very complicated. So that's why that came to be the title. Whoa, my mouth is so dry.
Yeah, have some water. I'll move on to Soraya.
My body says, give me water.
Yeah, it's good that you feel what you need, right? Soraya.
Do Joyce.
Bye.
Ze gaan naar de film. It's not that they don't like it.
Soraya, you're a filmmaker, a producer. You made many documentaries. So you've worked on many series, both nationally and internationally. So you have a lot of experience with many types of casts. So I wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit more about this cast and why it's so important?
Yeah, when we speak about when the body says yes, I think it's also really important to hear different voices and different types of bodies, and the way different types of bodies experience sexuality and intimacy, and different cultural experiences, different experiences with sexuality. It's really important also that the cast represents the message that we want to send out, that we embody actually. And this was not only for the cast, but also for the crew. It took a really, really, really long time to find the people who worked on this project, the crew as well as the cast. And it was also important for us to find people who normally in the mainstream media you don't hear a lot from.
So how did
see
you,
a lot from.
Sorry to interrupt you, how did you approach this? How did you get everyone together?
Oh, well, it was a really, really, really long process. And
how long? What's long?
A month.
Yeah.
Maybe even a year. And yeah, it was also like a pre-selection of us. So we really made a pre-selection of people that we would like to invite, and then we invited them.
But did you know each other already, some of you, or?
Knowing. Some of us knew each other, but some of us didn't, and I think that was also really important.
Yeah, because you seem very close. That's why.
Well, for the filming, we did. We went on a camp together of a week.
Yeah,
and we did a lot of workshops, and that's also the way the film came together. But so we got really close, and we did a lot of like somatic exercises. We know when to say yes and when to say no, so we trust each other really well. And I think it's also good, maybe Safira, because you just told me at the dinner table about that you really learned also from this experience about letting different types of people maybe enter. Maybe you want to share a little bit about that.
Is this on? So I experienced before we went and did the shooting for the movie, I was not necessarily closed off. I've always had an open, like my mom raised me very openly, but as a plus size, dark skinned black woman, I experienced certain things in society that I closed myself off to. So if I'm honest, I didn't really trust a lot of white people. And during this experience, I came to trust that different types of bodies and different types of people, whether or not they're white, they're black, they're Asian, that it doesn't matter what color they are, what gender they have, or what their sexuality is, but just the person in general and how the person treats you and how you can treat that person learned me a lot about how to navigate through the world. And I think I still, till this day, hear that a lot of people tell me, oh, you've changed so much, you treat us differently, you treat yourself differently. So it's very important for me to acknowledge that I have boundaries, I can voice my boundaries, but I can also listen to other people's boundaries and respect their boundaries and treat them as such.
That's great. Are there still things that you see as challenging? Anything you would like to share? If you don't feel comfortable, that's also
well, sometimes it's challenging when I voice a boundary and someone is not in the state to listen to you or to hear you, or it's even challenging when I am not in the state to listen to someone or to hear them voice their boundaries, and they have to keep telling me like, hey, I don't like this, or you're doing this to me, could you please stop? But because I'm aware of how important it is to respect someone's boundaries, I can always reflect, get back to myself, and go back to the person and say, hey, I'm sorry, I apologize, or I could have done this differently, and acknowledge the fact that I didn't respect their boundaries, because we are all human, we all make mistakes, and we don't always, how should I say this? We're more selfish than we are collective. So it's also important to apologize to the person, but also apologize to yourself and say, hey, you maybe didn't mean this, but take accountability for it and take responsibility for it.
Thank you. So yeah. And when someone doesn't respect your voice boundaries, how do you deal with this?
As Mel said, mostly it's on the phone because of the pandemic. I haven't really been in touch with a lot of people. But either when it's on the phone, I just say, hey, listen, I don't feel like I want to have this conversation anymore. So I'm gonna hang up now. Have a nice day, goodbye. And if they keep talking, I just either
hang up,
act like my phone died, or just, that's your problem. And in real life, like physically, with Shimaya, for example, I do not like it when people touch my shoulder. So you can touch me here, but when you touch me here, it feels like you're trying to take control of me. And Shimaya's hand at first was here, and then all of a sudden I felt it here. So I just easily put her hand here, and I held her hand, because I still want to be touched, just not in this place. So that's what I do now when someone touches me in a certain place where I don't want to. I either replace their hand or whatever, or when it's aggressive, I just tell them to, excuse my language, fuck off.
Yeah, okay, that's very clear. All right, thank you so much for sharing this.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask Orlando Maaike something as well. You are a curator and initiator with extensive experience in curating and producing special projects that connect theater, visual arts, and film. I have a more practical question for you. The Dutch pavilion won't be in the, as we heard already in the introduction, it won't be in the central hub this year, and now my Italian is challenged, in Cannareggio, the Chiesetta della Misericordia. Can you, oh, your mic's not working.
Chiesetta Misericordia.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about this place?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I wanted to also say that our third curator, Geir Haraldset, he lives in Norway, and he cannot be here. I guess he's online. But without him, we wouldn't be this group either. So I think it's important to know that he's part of us. Yeah, so here you can see the region where it's in, or the how do you say that? The part of the city in Cannareggio. So the little dot is the little Chiesetta, which was a church, which was built in the 10th century. And nowadays, I think there's an image of it too. It's on a little square. And I think a lot of people who have been to Venice know this location, because often other countries do their pavilion here, or like last time, I think it was the French party who was here. And actually, yeah, it's an interesting building if you go inside, because it's really like a former church with 4 little altars, because you can only see 2, but there's 2 more. And this is actually a perfect location to do the installation, because it's also, we kind of create a new community. And as forever, the church has always been for making community and gathering and sharing stories and taking care of each other. So we think it's a very good location for it.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I think it's time to move to the audience, because you probably have some questions. If you have, please raise your hand. I can't see you really well. Questions?
I forgot to say one thing, sorry. Because Theo Demons is also here. And he's our sonographer for the whole installation. I don't know if you want to say.
Yeah, Theo, can you share something?
I think the installation is made to get as comfortable as we are doing it right now. This is more or less the main concept. And yeah, it's an extension of the movie. We've been trying this for a couple of years to actually really have the set and the reality of the movie sort of converted into a space. And so the space is also about touch. It's made to be touched. It's made to be experienced. It's made to be slept in. It's made to be massaged. So come to Venice and massage the installation.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Yes. Do you mind asking your questions without a microphone? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay.
How did you came together?
Okay, I just have.
You beautiful people.
Sorry, I just have to repeat the question for the online audience. The question is, how did you all come together?
Through the internet.
What is that?
Through mail.
Explain.
We were gathering people that we felt connected to and aligned with our values, and through our network and through Instagram and how else?
People that you already knew and did some projects with, maybe?
Also.
So you also proactively approached some people?
Yeah, like also people that we thought had stories that would be interesting and we could learn from.
Yeah,
also.
As you said, new stories as well, different stories.
Yes, Safira, for example, we didn't know at all. We just saw your Instagram and we're like, whoa, who is she? We need to know more.
Yeah, okay, and look at you now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. More questions, yes.
Can you actually describe the installation a little bit, or is that too much of a spoiler? Like, is it going to be like a tableau vivant? Is it going to be
It's going to be touched.
Just to repeat the question for the online audience, can you explain a little bit about the installation without giving away too much?
Lots of colors.
Yeah, it's a landscape. It's a landscape that takes you into a journey like the movie, I think. And yeah, lots of contrast, lots of high contrast, and lots of textures.
It's like Soraya's pens, and it's like this, and it's to be touched and massaged, and like how Theo explained it. You'll be totally surrounded by it.
I think it's important to say that it's basically, if you look at it, it's parts of your body. That's it. And you need to figure out what parts of your body.
I'd like to come now as well. Any more questions? Any other questions? They're here now, yes.
Melanie talked about lineage, lineage of your research practice. Could you tell a bit more about that?
To repeat the question, Melanie talks about lineage, and the question is if could explain a little bit more about this.
Yes, so the somatic lineage is a lot inspired on Eastern traditions of martial arts and meditation, but it also comes from Willem Reich, did a big part of it as a descendant from Freud. He really noticed that we hold stories in our bodies and created a whole therapy around it and got also imprisoned and executed for it. Probably, but mainly like my personal lineage, my teachers really come from the HIV pandemic epidemic, and it was really from them they really extended our touch and intimacy language beyond like ways that gay people got infected. And they created spaces and language about how sexuality, sensuality can be experienced and emotions can be processed in spaces where everybody around them was dying. And from that lineage, like those are our teachers. Yeah.
Any more questions? Yes. Sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm curious how you think about authorship.
Authorship, yeah.
I noticed earlier you said about it being my research, but I see also that there's many other people, so I'm just curious how you relate to that as a group.
Yeah, great question. Just to repeat the question is how do you look at authorship or ownership, because you spoke about your research, but then you're here with the group. So how does this work?
Yeah, I actually counteracted that it was my research by addressing the lineage, and that what we're doing is like it's a grain of sand in the lineage, and hopefully also we create and weave a community together that pass it down, you know. So it's an organism, it's a mycelium that maybe the meta point was just in where we make the camp and we did the workshop and made a movie, and I can maybe see myself as a meta host through which like many other kind of, you know, spores are developing in their own way, and it's loose from me. So that's what I have to say about it. And in terms of like how authorship is perceived, that's an ongoing quest. It's a very much an unlearning, and I feel like, you know, also where I am in my point of my life, you know, like I am 44, I feel like actually I need to withdraw and already start to pass on. But I feel the culture is so situated on the individual that it's really like a process of how to actually do that. So, and it's, yeah, so, you know, that's all, yeah.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, well, there was during our the project was really interesting also because we really wanted to step away from the traditional way of working and the traditional ways of hierarchy, and we really wanted to try and do our best to have like a collective say in everything, and also with choosing the people that you work with. And it's really a lot of hard work because we are so programmed to do things in a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's the way we know how to do things. And then you do it like totally different way. And then you have to do it totally different altogether. And then I think that's why this great bond and this collective was also really important, because it was a lot of emotional work as well. Yeah. It's just the way we are programmed, and we have to unprogram that. And that's really a lot of work.
And we're not aware of all the programming, of course, either.
Yeah, and it's also like, you know, looking at the natural organism of a group in which we are usually, in a traditional sense, really conditioned to go through this pattern of like power over and a certain hierarchy. And if you really want to organize your group in like power with, and give people agency, but also acknowledge that always some people in the group will take on more leadership than others because it's just their natural way and that's just like what they're good at, and also acknowledge that is a whole different way of actually perceiving a work floor or like a project like this.
Yeah, it doesn't make you more or less important.
Yeah, and also if everybody's in a position that they feel good and they're inspired and they're like able to grow and like develop their talents, it's like the best to be like in a like an, you know, an organism where everybody has their place, but maybe somebody says like, hey, now let's go here, and unites also.
Yeah.
Something for me, it was also quite like very humbling experience, and also to see that like such I want to say great, but like for me it's like she's a person and I really admire her, but also like from a state of me seeing her as the same as me, not like, oh, she's more bigger, but
equal.
Yeah, it was felt like very unique way of collaborating together. Like she had a say, but like it wasn't like my word is the ultimate word.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like she's saying.
So the word that comes up to me again is safe. You feel safe, right? Yeah.
But and a last thing also like about more like leadership can be really isolating, you know, because if you do this like power over, you like need to have some kind of authority, and it's really also unlearning about how you can kind of like be more like a host, but also let yourself be carried by the group, and that is very difficult, you know, because we are just the conditioning is that's not the default. You know, so to be like vulnerable and weak and at the same time strong and giving directions, that's really a quality where we want to move to.
And be trusting.
Yeah, and be trusting.
I think if I have to add something, I think Mel did a very good job and taught me at least a lot when it comes to giving out control. So Mel, in this case, was the creator, and Mel took care of their creations, and they gave other people the responsibility to be strict and to, you know, watch the time and be in control of other kinds of things. So in this space, when we're looking at the patriarchy and at society, the people that were leaders in our space at certain points would normally not be seen as leaders in society. So that was very important for us to experience, that everyone could have a type of leadership, whether it was this small of a moment or this big of a moment.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah, sorry, it's so interesting. We're out of time. Okay, I have to. I just have one short last question, because the Biennale is not going to be the end of this. What else can we expect from you guys?
It's not over when it's over.
Okay. let it be a surprise. Okay. Oh, sorry. Unfortunately, we've come to the end. So I would really like the opportunity to thank all of you for being here and sharing your experiences, of course. Also, I'd love to thank the audience for being here with us, participating as well, and everyone at home. Oh yeah, for people over here, we'd like to welcome you to the foyer for some drinks. And it's also possible, as said in the introduction, to see the Guido van der Werve exhibition, which closes at 11. For now, thank you, goodbye, and see you in Venice.